Good afternoon. This is James Cena Green from A Mother's Cry with another AMC Response. AMC Response is the commentary that I provide in response to a news event. I try to do this weekly, but it doesn't always work out that way. But today I am responding to the police killing of a young Black woman on August 24th in Ohio. This young woman was 21 years old, and her name is Takaya Young. When I first was told about this story, I felt nauseated, like I felt sick, literally to my stomach. And then I went and read the story and watched the video. And I had an excessive, emphatic response. So I had to take a couple of days to get myself together before I could even talk about it with you all. In addition to the fact that I'm dealing with the grieving of my parents, missing my loved ones, so forth and so on. But I decided to go ahead and talk to you about this because it is one of the worst stories that I have heard in a while. And there's constant stories about police officers killing young Black people. But this particular story really disturbs me on a whole nother level. This young woman, as I said, her name is Takaya Young. She was 20 years old and pregnant, the mother of two other children, two boys, and expecting her first daughter. The story is that she had been identified by a store employee as someone who had stolen alcohol from the store. So let's stop right there for a moment, because I've heard a couple of people say, well, she shouldn't have been stealing, yada, yada, yada. We don't know if she stole the alcohol or not. Someone else said that they saw her put some bottles of alcohol back on the shelf before she left the store. The bottom line is that even if she stole all the alcohol in the store, this young pregnant mother should not be dead today along with her unborn child. The extreme, excessive response that the police officers had in that situation, if you watch the video, and I'm still disturbed by what I saw. I don't know when I'll ever not be disturbed. I hope I don't ever get desensitized to these senseless killings. But immediately, the police officers started screaming, "Stop the effing car." No, get out of the effing car. So there was the profanity, the intimidation, all of that from the jump. She's steady in the car saying, and she's like, "Why?" And the officer says, "Because somebody said you stole something from the store." She's yelling, "I didn't steal anything." He's still saying, "Get out the effing car." Then another bozo in a uniform comes up and stands in front of the car, and he's screaming, "Get out the effing car." So as a mother, period. All right, let's just go there. As a mother and you're pregnant, one of your initial responses is to protect your child. So you're looking at the window, you see two police officers, both with guns trained on you, pointed directly at you. You know the history and you know the current state of these police officers killing Black people, some compliant, some not compliant, all in fear of their life, and they have every right to be. It's easy to say what you would have done and what you would not have done because you weren't there. I wasn't there. I do know that my response is always going to be to protect my child. So I'm thinking maybe she thought I need to get away from here. Okay. I don't know what she thought because nobody got an opportunity to ask her what she thought because she was murdered. The video clearly shows her turning her wheel of the car to get out away from these two knuckleheads with these guns. And yes, it's obvious that I have dislike for bullies and badges. I don't ever try to hide that, and I will never change my feelings about that. I know that there are great men and women serving in law enforcement who genuinely care about people, who will do whatever they can do to de-escalate a situation. But I know that there are also some who automatically they see a Black face, whether it's a male face or a female face, and they assume the worst and they go to the extreme. It was not necessary for that man to kill that woman because she wouldn't get out of the car and face two white men with guns pointed at her face. There is no excuse for that young woman and that unborn child to be dead today. And I guess you can tell I'm really upset and pissed off about this whole situation. And I am. As a Black woman in America, I understand the hostility that we receive, the assumption that our people, always a negative assumption, always thinking the worst, assuming the worst. And so we live in a state of constant fear, not just for our Black brothers, our Black sons, our Black grandsons, but for our Black people, period. My heart breaks for that family. This young woman had two other children at home, two sons, who are now without their mother. She had been informed that the baby she was carrying, which was due in November, was a girl, would have been her first daughter. So these boys are going to miss out on having their mother and a new sister and all the other family members that are affected by her murder. And I will continue to use that word because she was murdered right there on video. I also read that the Blendon Township Police use of force policy provides that officers should try to move away from an approaching vehicle instead of firing their weapons. I didn't see anybody moving anywhere. Both of the officers were placed on paid administrative leave after the shooting. The officer who did not fire his gun has since returned to duty. Of course he has. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation is investigating the shooting. I can't speak for anybody else, but from the mother's cry response, I am sick and tired of these state-sanctioned murders against my people. I'm tired of it. At 21 years old, this baby girl had just begun living. Like, there's so much more to do with your life at age 21. Yes, now, of course, as usual, the media and those in law enforcement want to paint the victim as a horrible person, point out all of her shortcomings and her past experiences with the law and the fact that she's living with her grandmother and not her parents. And I think her mother died in 20. All of that has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that that officer murdered that woman and her unborn child. It may have something to do with why she was afraid, or she should have been afraid, to sit in a situation or to be in a situation with two police officers pointing their guns at her. If the officer felt threatened, which is what they always use as the reason why they murder somebody, is that I felt my life was in danger. Well, she felt like her life was in danger too. There were two of you pointing guns at her. Yeah, I'm sure she felt her life was in danger. But that is always the response. It's always what gets them off from the state-sanctioned murders. I said what I said, and I mean what I'm saying. I am tired, and you should be tired too. And we should be speaking out against these things, not just reading the news article or seeing it on TV and shaking your head and going about your day. You should be absolutely pissed off about these young people being murdered by cops. She didn't have a gun pointing at them. And some people said, well, she was using her car. She was using her car to try to get away. That's very clear on the video. And I dare to say I probably would have done the same thing in the same situation. These extreme responses are crazy. And we have got to speak out and just stop sitting back saying, oh, poor thing, because that is not your daughter. That is not your granddaughter. She's somebody's daughter. She's somebody's grandchild. And she's somebody's mother. Now these two boys will be going forward in life without their mom, because some crazy cop with a gun in his hand. And people also, I've read that the excuse as well, it's a small township and they don't have they really need better police training. That's a bunch of crap also, because we've seen police officers in large cities shoot and kill unarmed Black people. Something inside of you as a human being should say, I need to do what I can do to de-escalate the situation so somebody shouldn't end up dead. Why is their automatic response always intimidation? Walk up to the car, immediately you start cursing at the woman, telling her to get out the effing car. So you already started escalating the situation before it even got to the point where you killed her. Why is that? And why are we okay with that? It's time to speak out. This is this week's A Mother's Cry response. I couldn't even get my words together when I first heard about this story. And then when I read it and I saw it on TV and then I watched that video, I was beyond words. Like even right now, I'm still, because there's no excuse for that young Black pregnant woman to be dead. There's no excuse. You can't justify that any kind of way. Even once she turned the wheel on the car and tried to get away from the two morons with the guns pointing at her, you could have shot the tires out on the car. There are so many other things you could have done other than shooting that woman and killing her and her unborn baby. There's no excuse in you. There's nothing you can tell me that would justify that. Another example of genocide, in my opinion, of our people. So now there are two of us gone. She was turning the wheel away from them. She was not trying to run over them. She was trying to get away from them, which I would have done the same thing. I'm tired and I'm frustrated and I'm going to speak out. I may not have a large audience of people that watch my videos. I may not even have people that respond to my videos. Sometimes it's discouraging because I think the content that I'm sharing is so important. I want people to really get it, but people don't watch and they don't respond. But that's not going to stop me from using my voice. And this week, A Mother's Cry is responding to the murder of Takaya Young in Ohio, who was shot and killed in a parking lot, in a Kroger's parking lot, by a police officer because she had been accused of stealing alcohol from a store. And again, I say, if she did steal the alcohol, she still should not be dead today. Her nor her unborn child should be dead because of that. That's all I'm going to say about this situation, because I'm so angry. I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm frustrated. As a mother, my mind automatically went to, suppose this was my daughter. Thank you, April. I appreciate that. Suppose that was my daughter. Her grandmother, who she lived with, said she just went to the store to get some groceries. How would you feel if you were at home and the police or someone comes to your house and tells you that your daughter or granddaughter, who just went up the street to go to grocery store, is now dead? And the child that she's carrying is dead because of an accusation. And because she was a young Black woman, it was assumed that she was guilty. So when you approach her, you automatically come with an attitude. You automatically come with, get out the effing car. You automatically come with the accusation and the belief that I heard you did it, I know you did it, now get out the effing car attitude. As a mom, as I said at the very beginning, I believe her first response would be to protect her unborn child. And she is looking out that window at two white police officers with guns pointed at her. So unnecessary. Because even when you were told that she had stolen alcohol, there was nothing said about she had a gun or a weapon. So why was it necessary for you to approach her with a weapon? Why was it necessary for both of you to have guns pointed at her over some alcohol? Because the mentality is, if it's a Black person, male or female, they're guilty, they're aggressive, they're angry, they're going to do something to hurt me. Because as I said earlier, that's always the fallback. I felt like my life was in danger. So that's why I did what I did. She felt her life was in danger, and that's why she was trying to get away from me. This excessive, cruel force that is used against my people, I'm tired of it. And I will always speak out. I will always say what I feel. Angry, hurt, frustrated, whatever. I'm going to speak out. I'm going to use my voice as long as God allows me to have one. Because somebody has got to stand up. And as I said, I know some police officers personally who are great people, who are great human beings, who understand how to treat people. But there are too many of them that have the attitude that if I see a Black person, male or female, young or old, and they've been accused of doing something, then I have to believe they did it until it's proven that they didn't. And far too many of them are not even getting an opportunity to prove either way because they end up dead. And you can save that compliance crap, because we all know stories of those who complied and they still were murdered by police officers. That's the only word I can use, because that's what they did. today, as we go having barbecues and just enjoying our time with our families and loved ones, or some of us just, having a day off and just enjoying peace and quiet from work or whatever the case may be. Think about the young people in your life and the world that they are living in. Yes, police using excessive force and police brutality and all that is not new. That's been going on forever. But it's becoming more open now. We're hearing about it more. We're seeing it more than we've ever seen it. And we have to speak out. That is the conclusion of A Mother's Cry Responds. Let us just pray for her family, her two children, two sons. I think one is 3 and one is 6 is what I read, that will now be growing up without their mom. Pray for her, all of her family members. Boy, I will talk to you all later. I hope you have a blessed day.